Steve Dotto here. How the heck you doing this fine day? And welcome to our product showcase, where this week we are looking at Focus at Will, a music productivity app that for me is an essential part of my productivity toolkit. I think you're going to really enjoy it if you've not looked yet at Focus at Will. Now let me fill you in on the product showcase and what we are doing. The product showcase is designed to let you know about a tool that I think is a great tool and good value. Now we are broadcasting this live on YouTube on July 25th, 2019 is when this is going out live. If you happen to be on with us live right now, we are live in chat with you. This particular segment right now is pre-recorded where I demonstrate the product. And if you're watching this as a recorded video, then obviously the chat's not live, but the demo will still be in place and you'll be able to see us answering questions in the Q&A. Now, one of the nice bonuses is we have the creator of the app in the chat room with us right now, and he'll be joining us live in a few minutes once I get through this initial demonstration to answer all of your questions on Focus at Will. So the whole idea here is designed to make sure that you understand the features and benefits of this product and answer any questions so that you can make a good decision whether or not this tool fits for you. So let me dive in and show you Focus at Will. On both the computer and in the mobile version, the app looks virtually identical. It is a dead simple music player designed to just stream whatever type of music is going to enhance your focus and productivity. And that's the key, is really finding exactly what style of music helps you focus more effectively. Now you can go through and try their different channels, so you might have an opinion of what you might think works best for you, but they've also built in this channel recommender, which is surprisingly accurate in helping you determine the type of music that's going to work best for you. So let me tell you about my first experience with it, because I think Focus at Will is a product that you will know almost instantly whether or not it's going to work for you. When I first install Focus at Will, and when you do, I recommend that you use a set of headphones when you use it the first time. And you put it on and you start playing the music and you sit down and you just get into doing some work. And what it does for me is it cocoons me as soon as it starts to play. It's a funny, and it's hard to explain, but it's almost like the world gets smaller, to a certain extent safer and calmer. It's like a quiet and a pressure that comes over that allows me to start to apply all of my focus to the task at hand. Now I realize that sounds a little bit spiritual, but it's true. It enhances my focus and productivity, and I get into that state of intense concentration very quickly, and then time goes and work just gets done. I do it for 15, 20, 30 minutes at a time, and I get the task that I want to accomplished in that short period of time. And then when you finish, it's like coming up for air. It's like the world suddenly gets big again, and everything starts to, and the realities of the world kind of flood back in. But it's like almost like coming out of a safe space as it happened. Now, this doesn't happen for everyone, but if it works for you, then you will immediately recognize the value of Focus at Will. When you're actually using Focus at Will, you set a timer for the amount of time that you want to work, and we will be talking about how long you can focus and how much work you can get done in a period of time in a few moments. You set the timer, start it playing, put the headphones on, and get to work. And as I say, I think you will know within 10 minutes of using the app whether it is something which is going to work for you. And they've told me that somewhere in the neighborhood of 80% of people find Focus at Will. Once they find the channel that's correct, they find it is indeed a tool that works for their personality type. Let's have a chat with the founder of Focus at Will, Will Henshall, who is a former rock and roll artist from the band London Beat.
We discovered that there is a specific type of flow state for when you're working on a task on a computer. It's actually the same as when you're writing longhand, but it's when you're doing a cognitive task, you're creating something. So if you're an artist or an author, or if you're writing code, or if you're running a business and you need time to think, what happens is that the part of your brain which is there to distract you. So evolutionarily, let's just talk about cavemen for a minute, Steve. You and I, cavemen drinking a cave beer back in the day in the cave, and out of the the door of the cave over here, both of our limbic systems, which is sort of the high alert part of your brain, which is looking out for your danger, are listening in your subconscious mind for sounds outside the cave door. They're listening for sounds of bears. They're listening for crackle sounds, which is footsteps of large predators, right? When your limbic system allows you to concentrate on the task, if our limbic system has not heard any sounds from outside, it will allow us to get into a flow state because it is looking after our safety. So this is all to do with evolutionary responses in the brain to safety. Now, today, right, there are no mastodons and there are no bears around, right? There's no one going to come in your door and eat you. But that part of your brain is still active. And what we discovered in Focus at Will is that certain types of audio, very specifically prescribed, and we can talk about how you find out what works for you, turn off or sort of help that part of your brain and kind of quieten the limbic caveman response or cave girl response to allow you to concentrate on your task.
So Focus at Will effectively creates a safe environment that allows us to apply all of our energy on the task at hand, which can be a very powerful place. Now, depending on your personality type, though, you're going to have to determine what type of music works best for you.
What happens is in the first 2 or 3 days, people try different channels, and then they go, oh, it's the most popular channel on our system, incidentally, is Alpha Chill, followed by Up-Tempo, followed by Classical, followed by Focus Spa.
Now, when I use Focus Will, I like to use my headphones, and I have a pair of over-the-ear headphones that I use for editing my podcasts and doing that sort of work, and sometimes I use those. But more often than not, I use these, which are Bose noise-canceling quiet comfort earbuds that go in my ears. And I use these, and for me, they enhance this cocooning effect that I talk about. They create a very small and safe space for me to be working in. But a lot of people use Focus at Will as a player on their Sonos system or on their computer speakers as well. So I asked Will whether or not it's as effective as an area speaker as it is as a personal device with your headsets. And I also wondered about using it in a shared environment.
Here's the thing. The different kinds of people's brain types, they're called personality types, need different types of music to focus. So if you're in an open office and you're playing music for everybody, it will help mask the general effect. But there will be some people who hate that type of music and find it distracting. And here's the really crazy thing. I was talking to someone about this the other day who runs a co-working space. Your most valuable performer staff are likely to be your highly paid, highly easily distractible developers, writers, the wacky creatives, the really crazy people. These are the people that need more energy in their audio field to be able to focus and concentrate. If you play something that's like the least worst options, maybe some gentle classical music or something like that, these people will be you're driving them crazy. If you let them play the music selection, everybody else, especially the ADHD channels, everybody else is going to be like, Steve, you got to turn this off. So it works best when only one person is listening. But if you're a solopreneur, yeah, Sonos.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, geez, another playlist. Steve, I've already got a Amazon Music subscription, a Spotify, a Google Music, an Apple Music. I've got all of these different music subscriptions that all have playlists that I'm sure I can use to help me with my productivity. And I can just sit there and work away with some nice Queen running in the background, can't I?
We did some tests to say, okay, well, we've got music that is designed to not distract you, but we really would like to find out what music is the most distracting. And Queen was very high on that list. A lot of voices. So we were talking about being in the cave earlier on. This part of the brain that is looking out for your safety is especially highly tuned to the human voice. Because if you hear a voice over there, that part of your brain is going, is that food, sex, or danger? That part of the brain, in the limbic, it's the internal consciousness. There's kind of your internal consciousness and your external consciousness, if you think about the brain in terms of function, psychophysiologically. that part of your brain is listening out all the time for voices. So if you play music in the background that has voices and a lot of voices and invokes memories and is very melodic and is very loud and has a lot of sounds in it and is very spitty, we're also particularly tuned to the frequencies of 1K to 4K, which is a telephone area. And all of the acts that you've just mentioned, Billy Joel, Queen, etc., right? It's all heavy on lyrics, and it's heavy in that frequency. So in Focus at Will, we had to build a new library of music that has no vocals, that has nothing that sounds like vocals. Saxophones sound like vocals. Beatles, Snoop Dogg, and Queen were three examples of music that is very, very difficult to actually get anything done at work while you listen to.
Finally, I want to talk about extending the work session. There's a real common philosophy in productivity that you want to use something called Pomodoros, little short, intense bursts of time, 10 minutes, 12-minute segments, where you intensely focus and then you take a break to allow yourself to kind of recharge your batteries. Now, I noticed using Focus at Will that my work sessions were far longer than the Pomodoros kind of allow for, and I wondered about that. And Will set my mind at ease because the design of the music allows you to extend your productivity session, getting even more done.
After a certain amount of time, usually about 20 minutes for most people, you'll habituate to the sound of the music, to the feel of the music, and you will start tuning it out. When you do that, your long-conscious mind will start tuning it out. When you do that, you will start losing your focus and concentration. The tool is stopping working. So in Focus at Will, one of our secret tools that happens in the back end is we have figured out what to do to the audio stream to extend the habituation circle. And most people who use the system, the average length of time on the system is 70 minutes. And we have some people that go as far as 100. And the reason why the Pomodoro is there is that you are habituating to your environment and you're not able to sustain focus on what you're doing. However, if you have a tool that is able to trick your brain into sustaining focus because there are changes, material changes in the way the audio is playing about every 20 minutes, it enables you to do a multiple Pomodoro cycle. And that is why the system works. Yeah, you can expect to sit and do 70, 80, 90 minutes at a go. You get a lot done if you do that.
So those of you who are live with us on YouTube right now, we have been chatting away in the chat with Will and his team. Let's bring him on now and answer your questions live. Those of you watching the pre-record, of course, you can just enjoy the answers that are about to flow. And I am back. Oh, that was fun. That worked out about as well as I hoped it could. Lots of good chat, lots of good questions. So now let's bring Will on and see how we do. Will, how are you doing?
Hello.
Well, that worked out okay.
Yes.
We're just like kind of flying blind today. We literally thought this would all work when I outlined it all, and so far it's going okay. So I think everybody should give me a thumbs up right now. I usually don't beg for them, but you should give us a thumbs up on the old on the YouTube because that came together really well. Good. The questions and answers, the questions going on. There are lots of great questions, lots of people kind of diving in the deep end. I think we should, for people that are already convinced that they want to give it a shot, we should tell them about how much it costs and how the free trial works. Maybe you can fill us in on that, and then we can dive into some of the minutiae of the questions about how the system actually works well.
Absolutely. So the deal we've got for you is 30% off. And it's going to be $69.95. That's the deal. You put in Dotto Tech, is that right?
Dotto Tech,
Steve?
Yep.
Dotto Tech. So just go to the website, put in Dotto Tech. Here's the thing. This deal is available on desktop. So go to the desktop version.
Okay.
Sign up, put in Dotto Tech, and then you'll get Steve's deal.
And you can, once you've signed up, you can use it on either the desktop or the mobile version. They both work just fine as far as that's concerned, right? Yeah.
Yep. So once you've signed up, use your remember your password and go to the mobile, and you're good to go.
And so it ends up being $69 a year for the subscription, and the what was I going to say?
7-day free trial.
And there's a 7-day free trial. So, and you'll know how soon do people know if it works for them? Well, I said it like within, I don't know, playing with a couple of different types of music, but with each music type, within 8 to 10 minutes whether or not you can feel. But you feel the concentration happen, don't you? It's not subtle. It's there.
Yeah. So the system works statistically for 2 people out of 3 who try it. That's a very consistent number. If you're in the 1 person in 3 it doesn't work for, it's very apparent. Yeah. And that's to do with your brain type. It's a much longer conversation, but it doesn't work for 1 person out of 3. So 1 person out of 3 needs either dead silence or nothing makes any difference to them. But if you're in the lucky 2 people out of 3, this works really well. And interestingly, if I now, of course, you've got a tech audience here, I'll say, okay, well, it's 2 people out of 3. What we found is that for 1 person out of 3, this is like your reaction, which is like, what on earth? Why didn't that? This becomes like they're our real subscribers. The other 1 person out of 3 is that, this works pretty well when I'm in a crunch.
Okay. And so the other thing that I think the other reason that it works for people like my personality type is I am very ritualistic.
Yes.
And so I like from doing, I'm sure you are too as a performer. When I used to do television, I go through a ritual of preparing for whatever it is I'm going to do. A lot of athletes go through that. And the music becomes a part of the ritual.
That's exactly what we found. There's a timer in the paid app, and the timer, we recommend you set it to say 100 minutes, 80 minutes, 90 minutes, somewhere around there. The sound of the bell then starting your time session becomes like a Pavlovian dog, where you're just like bonk. We have found, we did some research last year into when people use the app for, we actually had quite a large scale study, 90 days or more. Does having used the app help you when you're not using the app? And the answer is it does.
Oh.
That's kind of interesting.
So people get in the habit of being more productive.
It trains you into being able to get into a flow state when you're working, which is really beautiful to know. Yeah.
That whole idea of the flow state, when that was first explained to me, it made so much sense. Maybe it's worth just having a quick chat about that, because for those of you who have, for me, it was really eye-opening and let me paraphrase, and then you can add the context, or you can add the facts. It's kind of like our attention, our brain multitasks, right? We all multitask constantly, which is exactly what you're talking about. The danger and the fight and flight reflexes and all that are constantly, so we've constantly got all of these different things monitoring the environment around, and we're also thinking about all sorts of different things.
Yes.
But if we can get more and more of if we can move towards unitasking more, just get more and more of our attention on the task at hand.
Yes.
The amount of processing power that our brain has is freaking incredible. Yes. And that's what the flow state is where all of our attention is focused on one thing. And it's kind of, there's a momentum to it. It's like an 18-wheeler, right? In first gear, you're moving along slowly. But as you get up to speed, holy cow, once all of your attention is on task, that's when the work just happens. And we talk about, columns just writing themselves or projects just being finished, because we have more capacity to work than we realize. And flow state is kind of the fullness of that capacity. Am I right?
Yes. Yes. Stephen Kotler is an expert, the best-selling author, an expert on flow state, and he has the flow genome and a sort of a whole organization devoted to flow state, in mostly physical flow state. And we're familiar with the way that athletes have to get into a flow state. And very gifted athletes of all kinds all have this ability to be very zen, very calm, and very coiled. So you can imagine if someone's running 100 meters, you are zen calm, but you're also like ready to launch. So flow state when you're working at a computer is different.
Okay.
And we did a very considerable amount of research around, because we're familiar with this idea when you're sorting your stamp collection, when you're writing an article, when you're reading very engaging book. We know that there's this thing, and you can think of a flow state as being, you sort of become at one with the universe. You have this sense of peace, and you do your best work, or you are most engaged in what you're doing. And it's a very recognizable thing that happens. The originator of flow state is called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. That's a test if anybody wants to know how to spell his name. It looks like a whole bunch of consonants, but his name is Mihai. And I've met him, and I talked to him about this. And we found that there is a specific flow state for people when they are working. It's a thing. And the flow state is slightly different, obviously, than the flow state when you're an athlete. But when you're sitting still, when you're actually working on a computer, what's happening to your brain is you very slightly got your foot on the gas and your foot on the brake, just a little bit in brainwave states. And what that's doing is it's just giving you this tension, technically, that is able to allow you to go into a flow state. And the research we've done is based on what can we do in an audio environment to help sustain that very measurable, specific flow state for focus and concentration when you're working on a computer. So it's all about the flow state, for sure.
Good stuff. So let's take a look. Now, somebody asked a question. Oh, we want clarification on the trial and the pricing. So the trial is a 1 week free trial. Yes. Somebody commented, is there a 30-day refund policy or?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. No questions asked. If it doesn't work for you after your trial, no problem. Drop me a note.
Okay. So there's a 7-day free trial, 30-day refund policy on your annual subscription. The full price for the annual subscription is $100 $99. With the Dotto Tech. Use the Dotto Tech code when you go to checkout, and you will then have a 30% discount. So it'll be $70 for the year, and it will run on both your mobile and on your desktop. Now, we did have a question about offline access, which is one of the first questions I have. Fill me in on that.
We are working on that right now in the lab.
Okay.
And it's a lot more complex than it might seem.
Okay.
And perhaps I can explain why. Again, it's great to talk to a technical audience here. Focus at Will works by having a vast library of instrumental music. As I said, there's no vocals, there's nothing that sound like a vocal, and the shape of the actual sound you're listening to is not the same. I don't know if you've noticed, if you listen to Focus at Will compared to, say, Spotify or Apple or any of the other music services, things sound a little different. There's a little more upper bass, there's a little less mid, and the tops are not quite so sparkly. And that is on purpose, because your non-conscious mind, this is not for entertainment, this is because your non-conscious mind is using this as a tool to help calm the external and internal distractions. So the way it works is we have this vast library of tens of thousands of hours of material. And as you are working, the playlister is playing you very specific tracks. It's not a fixed playlist.
Okay.
And there are multiple renders of the same track. So it's not like you could download 2 hours of this, because what's happening is it's in real time. It's looking at what you've used before, what to do to help sustain the 20-minute habituation and so on. So working offline is kind of complex, because we have to be able to then use the same algorithm on your internal phone. But anyway, that's what we're working on, and we expect to have it out in the next period. As a software guy, I'm always loath to say when, but trust me, a lot of people have asked us.
Talk to me about somebody was asking about some of the what was the alpha channels versus the different waves and the type of what was that all about?
The entrainment is very interesting.
Entrainment.
Yeah, people have heard of binaural beats. Most people.
Yes.
And
no, but in case they haven't, what are binaural beats?
So binaural beats are they go back to the 50s. Actually, there's a way to help entrain your brainwave. So the quick 101, the 30-second version of how your brain works. There are millions and millions of brainwaves happening at the same time in your brain, millions of them. And there are as you're doing certain tasks, there is a sort of a focus of certain types of brainwaves. There's still millions going on, but there's more of these. And they call them alpha, beta, delta, and so on, based on the frequencies of the brainwaves. And there's well-established research that says, for instance, a beta, high beta, so if you have more beta, which is between 8 and 14K, if there's more of that in your brain waves, you are coiled and ready to fight. You are just like in high action, like you're just about to cross a busy road. If you have more alpha, you're in more of a meditative state, and you're in an alpha wave is typically alpha is 8 to 14, beta is 14 to 20 something odd, and then theta and the other brainwaves are when you, and delta are when you're sleeping, and they're very, very slow. But while that's going on, there's all these other millions of things happening in your brain. So scientists in the 50s and 60s, people may have heard of HoloSync, for instance. They're one of the companies that have been doing this. Mm-hmm. They found by playing certain beepy sounds, they can help your brain sympathetically resonant to the effect of meditation and so on and so forth. We have not found them to work particularly well for all people. And in fact, we built a very detailed binaural generator into our app, which in real time, which is turned off. And the reason why is that the guy, our developer who built it, used to get nauseous when we were testing it. And what happens is, entrainment works for some people some of the time, but for many people, it doesn't work at all. And it can, at best, be annoying, and at worst, give you nausea. So some of our channels do have hidden entrainment on them. Specifically, the coffee channels, the cafe channels, the water channels, and a couple of others we have found. We're very research-driven,
okay.
Steve. We're all about, tell me the data. And so this is what we found.
Now, I tend to always go to the same channel. Should I occasionally be trying out different channels?
Survey says, let's just look at 2 million people who use this system. No, once you've found the channel and specifically the energy level, because each channel has got a
different energy
connector on it, right? The energy level. Once you've found your channel and your energy level, the chances are that is the way your brain works. Your personality trait requires that specific amount of external stimulus to work flawlessly. You found your jam, bro. That's it.
User error on my side. And I don't, sometimes I do just want to listen to some different music, so I'll do that. So I'm going to still do that occasionally, I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. But I thought that the energy level, I thought I should match how I'm feeling. So when I had high energy, I would dial it up, and when I have low energy, I would dial it down. But you're saying that that's a bit of a user error issue.
That is the way it was originally designed. But we've actually found that people tune into where they get to. So I'm personally borderline ADHD. So the ADHD channel low is my absolute jam. And when I put that on, I'm just like, come on, let's work.
Really?
And if I ever really want to get stuff done, that is my thing. Internally, like you go to a restaurant and it says Annie's choice, and that's meant to be the owner. Well, this is a CEO choice, ADHD low. It's kind of harsh for other people, but every time that's what works for me. So here's a survey says, to sum up, yes, find your jam, that's it.
Here's a question that might pique your interest. It's from Supercharged Deals. Wondering if being a longtime professional musician would make this more or less effective. I notice that when I hear music, I tend to analyze the music more than most people.
Oh, yeah. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Behind me? Yeah. About 10% of the population have some musical ability. And that includes people who are, like to play in church, like to play at home, right through to geniuses up like the McCartney and Prince level. If you are a musician, yes, there's a part of your brain which is very highly trained with neuroplasticity measurable to look at anticipation. And so Focus at Will does not work very well for people who are who have musical ability. So I mentioned that it doesn't work for 1 person out of 3. That often includes people who are musicians because you're always analyzing the music. We have a Mozart channel on our system, which is the classical piano, and it's kind of Mozart.
Yeah.
There are edited remixed versions of the Mozart sonatas. And if someone is a really well-versed, knowledgeable classical music buff, you're going to hear that and you're going to be like, what are they doing to Mozart? Well, the answer is he's dead, mate, so he can't stop us. And we have edited it up. Yeah, and I'm being serious. I mean, it's out of copyright, it's public domain. We have edited it so that some of the twinkly bits, some of the exciting bits, which we found were distracting, have all been taken out.
But you've also taken out the repetitive nature. It's not the phrase. It doesn't seem to follow the same structure, does it?
The reason I'm kind of hesitating is the answer is yes and no.
Okay.
There are elements of a repetitive hypnotic nature that really do help some people for this process.
Oh, okay.
But if it is, there's a really good example. There's one of my other favorite channels on the system is called it's called the Neuro Beep channel. What's it called? It's called Neuro. I'm just looking here myself. It's called Neurospace. This is a very specifically repetitive bleepy thing that goes. And what it's doing is it's changing, morphing over time, and it's repetitive in a very specific way that helps entrain some people's brains. This is another channel that was developed by John Vitale and myself, specifically for us, basically. So check it out if you find sort of calming, soothing things. If you're an adult and you've still got your Blanky or your Teddy, you might want to try Neurospace.
Fiscal Rangers asks, would this help times when you get sleepy at work for any reason? Does it reverse daytime drowsiness?
Yes, we have found that is absolutely the case. Remember that any kind of stimulus has something which is called a habituation effect. You drink too much coffee, it stops working, right? If you get used to things. And what you're doing when you're using Focus at Will is you're managing the ratio, just scientifically, I'd just like to mention this. You're measuring the ratio between your internal, your endogenous attention, which is me talking to you now, with my exogenous, my external attention, which is my ears looking out for my safety, looking for stimulus, looking to figure out, is it okay to talk to you, Steve, right now, or is there a bear coming in the cave?
Yeah.
And that's what this is doing, is it's managing that relationship. And about every 20 minutes, most people go through this period when that relationship, that ratio starts being affected, so you are no longer soothed by your local environment. If you keep doing that all day long, like let's say you do a 7-hour Focus at Will session, and some people do, towards the end of the day, you have exhausted the way your brain is working by sort of soothing or even tricking that part of your brain. So towards the end of the day, it's not going to work as well. But what a lot of people do is you do a concentrated 100 minutes 3 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do like an hour and a half in the morning, an hour and a half, say, around lunchtime, and an hour and a half at the end of the day. And looking at the data of the usage, we find a lot of people, especially in tech. We have a lot of Apple employees, Google employees, Tesla, SpaceX, a lot of big tech, Facebook workers on our system. And they often do sprints. You can see them doing 3 solid stints a day. So it's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, that whole concept of sprints, and what do they call it? Sprint? I'm not sure what in rests. That's very much. It's extending the Pomodoro concept. Mm-hmm. It really. I am surprised with how long. In when I first started studying and learning about Pomodoro, I was concerned that I was doing something wrong because I was going beyond what we were supposed to. But at the end of the day, it's just about getting the work done, isn't it?
It is.
Let's talk about headphones. There's been a lot of comments about the headphones, and I am a big fan of using headphones with this. And actually, back 3 years ago, yes, when I first talked to you about this product, you said, buy these things, and they're so expensive, but they were such a good purchase.
They're so comfortable, and they work so well. There's been other Bose models. These are the i20. I have nothing to do with Bose, and I'm not on a deal with these whatsoever, so I can just listen. These are called the Bose i20s, if you can get them. There are new i30s and i40s. They're not so good. this is the one. There's no Bluetooth, there's no problems, there's no charging. My batteries run out right now on these, and it still sounds fantastic.
Yes.
And yes, Steve,
they are the solution. The Bose Quiet Comfort. I think mine are the C20s or something like that. They might be a slightly different model, but and the nice thing of the bonus is they work great in a cafe, in your desk, but they're also really nice noise canceling headphones when you're on a flight. So I use them traveling all the time as well. So they were.
By the way, a crazy hack. Due to the way noise cancelling works, what it does is it turns what you're hearing out of phase. Noise cancelling works perfectly if you turn it on and only put it in your left ear. You don't have to have both of them on.
Really?
You ever tried that? Turn it on and then put it in your left ear only, and you will still put it in your left ear, and then the noise cancelling still works because it is out of phase with whatever is going into your right ear. So if you're on a plane and you want to put your head like this, right?
Yeah.
You can put your head on that and still get noise cancelling out of that ear.
Oh, so it'll actually hack. I'm going to have to try that. Oh, Farley's just joined us. Speaking of noise canceling, okay, that's very cool. Let me go through and see if I can find some of the questions. Somebody asked about the rights to the music. So whether it would generate content strikes on YouTube, if it's or Twitch. I guess if you had it playing in speakers in the background while you're working, it would create content strikes. Correct?
It does sometimes. Yes, about half of the material is actually ours, and of course that's all registered and copyrighted by us. As a composer myself, I've got a couple of I've got quite a bit of material. One of the channels is entirely me, which is called the Electrobark channel, which is a very specifically created and designed channel, which is for people who like Baroque, the repetitiveness of Baroque music and the repetitiveness of EDM. This is a channel that has very specific timings with a lot of entrainment in it, doing some very well-known Bach pieces. So the answer in summary, you will get some copyright strikes some of the time, yes. But that's true of any music, of course.
We have a nice comment here, just not necessarily a question, but a nice comment from Fiscal Rangers, Florida. It says, "This geek info is great, kind of like learning how Pandora worked." It is, and somebody else asked, and I apologize if I don't remember who it was, if there's a way to enroll in your beta program to be part of the testing, or are you constantly testing? Because I know that you're constantly asking me at the end of every session how I felt the session went. That's kind of, I guess, being part of the beta program in itself, is it not?
Yes, we use that information to help build your productivity profile. And it's really to show you what is working for you. There are two touch points in the app that are very, very simple that actually control the way the app works. One is the skip button. So as you're working, the goal, this is so crazy. Look, you see this wall of gold records here. I was in a very successful band called London Beat back in the 90s. And this is all from that and a bunch of other things I did. That was all music to have you sing along to the radio. That's what that was. In fact, one of my songs, I've Been Thinking About You, hit #1 in the Billboard club charts just 2 weeks ago again.
Congratulations.
But the idea of all of that music is to create music that you want to sing along with. And the goal of Focus at Will is the opposite. The idea is that you run a time session, you hear the bell, and then you just get on with your work. You don't notice it. The most insane thing to me to be saying, this is a music service that we don't want you to listen to. But that is kind of the goal, because your non-conscious attention is listening to the music while your conscious attention are doing the work. Now, if a piece of music plays that you notice, whether you like it or dislike it, right, skip it, because this is not entertainment. This is a tool that you're training to help you get into a flow state. And what happens, for whatever reasons, different people notice different specific pieces of music. So whenever you notice a piece of music, skip it. That's the bottom line there.
Good stuff. Okay, I'm just trying to catch up on the comments. Claude mentioned that he bought some noise canceling headphones, the USB headphones, for $20 on Amazon from MPOW that are pretty comfy. And somebody asked the question whether or not the noise canceling makes a difference if you have it turned on or off. but it doesn't make any difference. It's personal preference.
It's personal preference. Noise cancelling, someone asked about noise cancelling. I'd love to just, I'm an audio geek. I want to talk about how it works. What noise cancelling is doing is actually, it's taking the sound from both sides of your speaker, and then it's turning one inside out. And it's like having two things that match like this and cancel each other out. To do that, there's got to be quite a lot of volume. Noise cancelling is tiring to listen to because there's actually a lot of volume going into both ears, but you don't perceive it as volume or level. You perceive it as silence, but it's not silence. You know that feeling when you turn it on and it goes boop? Yeah. What it's doing is it's tricking your brain because it's canceling out both sides. So noise cancelling itself, if you do it too much, is actually tiring. So we recommend not, unless you're in an environment where it really helps, because it is actually tiring on a neuroscience basis to sustain it all day long. There are actually people that we know, a couple of the scientists that we know think there might be long-term hearing damages if you do it all day, every day.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That's loud. Volume is important. So if you're listening because you're in a loud environment, you turn it up. What you're doing is you're also turning up the volume of the noise cancelling, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense intuitively to me that that's the case.
Any thoughts about Apple's AirPods? Because so many people now have those. They're just a great option for this, are they not?
Yeah, they work perfectly.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. You forget you've got them in, and then people are like looking at you, and you're like, "Oh, sorry."
Good stuff. So let's once again just refresh for everybody exactly what the offer is that we're making here today, and so that they can go and where they go for questions and answers after this live stream is over. Because it's been fantastic having your team on answering questions, which is exactly what I'd hoped that this product showcase would be, giving my community the opportunity to meet the people behind the products. So they go to focusatwill.com. Mm-hmm. Normal price is $100 for an annual subscription. There's a 1-week free trial and 30% off if you use the code DOTTOTECH. And they were asking how long that code is available for, at least through the end of the year. We're going to be, this video will be online. So if you're on the fence, if you want to let other people know about it, please use the code. Of course, we are, in full disclosure, I am compensated when you do use that code, so I appreciate the support, as do the folks at Focus at Will as well. Yes. Did I leave anything out there?
Yes, you did. How do you reach us? There's a live chat. Our tech support team are world-class, and Chelsea Rook is our tech support team leader. She is incredibly knowledgeable and is available on live chat on the homepage.
And she's been in here along with John, who has been answering questions. Your team has been just great, filling everybody in on things. So I think we could call it. That's we're about 50 minutes in. That seems to be a good amount of time. We still have 180 people online, but I think we've covered it all. Did we miss anything?
Yes, I'd love to hear questions, comments, feedback. My email is very simple. I'm will@focusatwill.com. Drop me a note, and we read every note, and we will get back to you. And love your thoughts, questions, and comments. We're science-based, we're evidence science-based, and we're very responsive to our community. So this is a passion, a life of passion for us, work of passion.
And for those of you that are concerned about the amount of data, I just saw somebody was asking a question whether about the amount of data that it uses. It's a very small amount of bandwidth.
It's tiny. Yeah, we've optimized it. We use about 60 megs an hour, which is less than all of the other audio services do.
Yeah, and so I often use it on my smartphone as opposed to on my desktop, so that it's in my pocket, and it just kind of works better that way. I love using the mobile app, and the mobile app, identical in all aspects. So ask them once again for the sign up link. I'll get one of the people to drop into the URL. It's Focus at Will, ATWILL, because I think I put the at sign here.
If you look up on Google, you'll look at Focus at Will, and it'll take you there.
And there'll just be a discount code area asking if you have a discount code. Use the word DOTTOTECH, and that will get you your 30% discount. Good. Will, I've enjoyed this. How's it been for you? Has it been good?
I'm a big fan of you and your work, Steve. Have been for a long time.
Thanks so much.
So I'm proud and honored to be having this chat with you. You've inspired me with many of the things that you've shown on your
thank you so much.
on your program and on your stuff. So
well, that means the world to me. Now, normally this isn't going to be part of our MO on these things, but I would love if anybody, just before we wrap things up, if you can comment on what you think of this product showcase format. This was our big test. Coming back, I'm just about to take my summer break, but coming back in September, we're looking at making this a weekly feature here at Dotto Tech, bringing interesting, compelling products, giving you, my community, access to talk to the people, and hopefully sometimes get a good offer, a good discount, such as you folks have offered. So I'd love to, I'll get you to just post whether or not you liked it or not, whether it's, if you have any suggestions about it, please let me know. We will make sure that when this video is finished that we include all of the links in the description below. They will all be available to you there, and as well as links so that you can ask to the support team that Will was mentioning. So if you have any questions about that, you can reach out there as well. So I think that's it. I think I'm going to call it a successful first product showcase. Will, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed talking to you and your team here.
Well, we'll have to figure out. We'll at least have to make this an annual event, because I know I know that we're helping people as well, and that always makes it so much better. So, folks, thanks to Will's team, thanks to Will, thanks to April and my team, and all of you who are participated. I appreciate it. Till next time, I am Steve Dotto. There it is. Have fun storming a castle.